Live, just so everybody is aware. I have heard of those things happening. So we're just waiting on Councilor Olkey. Okay. Pardon? Where the fists were thrown? I believe so. There was another one. Where was the other one? I think there was one in Western Ontario too, years ago. Okay, we're back live at this point, and we have come back from our in-camera session. Council provided direction to the Director of Planning and the CAO and regarding staffing. We also dealt with planning issues and an agreement that we have some motions to pass now that we're out of the in-camera session. So I'll ask the clerk for those. So the first one is moved by Councillor Gorell and seconded by Councillor Olkey, that council authorizes CAO and clerk to execute any documents required to complete the transfer of PIN 44220-0306 to the township. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify. All those opposed, and we're carried. Next motion. Moved by Councillor Olkey, seconded by Councillor Gorell, that the council authorize the clerk and the mayor to enter into an agreement with Ontario government as represented by the Minister of Agriculture, Food and Rural Affairs, the town of Gananoque and the Front of Young Township as it relates to funding under the Rural Economic Development RED program. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor, please signify. All those opposed, and we're carried. So next is the long one. And if those are watching, please do pay close attention to this, and there will be additional information afterwards. Moved by Councillor Gorell, seconded by Deputy Mayor Lackey. Whereas the township issued RFP PLA 2021-01 for the purpose of procuring a partner to design, build, install, own, operate, and manage a complete high-speed communications network to provide high-speed internet access service to businesses, homes, and community institutions across the entire township. And whereas in finalizing the scoring and preparing to award the RFP, staff noted that the province changed the funding mechanisms and the program approach regarding the provision of broadband services to rural areas, which impacts the scope and approach to servicing the township with broadband services that the township has been advancing. And whereas Infrastructure Ontario is leading a procurement process that enables internet service providers to bid for provincial subsidies through a series of reverse auction events for defined geographic areas and based upon requirements for high-speed internet infrastructure deployment. And whereas the scope of work and partnership arrangement that the township was pursuing in fulfillment of the funding requirements for Universal Broadband Fund, UBF, and improving connectivity for Ontario ICON grants are no longer applicable due to the change in process now being the said procurement by Infrastructure Ontario. And whereas section 3.64 of the RFP document states that the township may cancel or amend the RFP process without liability at any time. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the council directs staff to cancel RFP PLA 2021-01 and inform the bidders of the cancellation of this procurement process. Further, that council directs the mayor to send a letter to the ministers of infrastructure, municipal affairs and housing, the premier of Ontario, and the entire cabinet requesting a reconsideration of small projects such as the township's fiber optic solution outside the reverse auction process. Discussion on this motion, gentlemen. Deputy Mayor Lackey.
Through you, your worship, I assume that this will be on the website or on our weekly updates
We will
to the public.
I believe that, well, it'll be published in our minutes for sure. And the video will be uploaded as well. And we'll make note of it to share it with other individuals as well.
Yeah, thank you.
Any questions or comments in regards to the resolution that's been put forward? Go ahead, Councillor Oki.
Thank you, Your Worship, and through you, just to my colleagues, I think it's really the only responsible way to go at all costs. We should reduce costs and reduce exposure, since nothing's going to come forward from this. The best thing to do is just end it. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Foti.
Thank you, Your Worship. Through you, I agree. We need to put a stop to this. Our whole proposal was based on money from the federal and provincial government. Now the whole rules of the game have changed through no action of our own. I feel bad for the committees involved. Owen Brock, Councillor Gorell, his committee, and all the time our staff, our CAO and the planning department have put into this, and we came ever so close. Albeit, I must say, I would feel better doing it this way tonight than to find out that we had awarded a proposal to a company only to find out the rules had changed. But it's disturbing that the province would put up a reverse auction. I'm in a business on a day-to-day basis, and I see what a reverse auction supplies. And it's not pretty. It's reduced service, a reduced lot of things. And I can't help but think that that's exactly what the taxpayers are going to get out of this in the province, a reduced service. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further comments in regards to the motion that's on the floor? Before I call the question, I would just like to say a very sincere thanks to the Broadband Committee, who has been championing this from the get-go. We entered this path almost 2 years ago, or more than 2 years ago now, with the sincere goal of creating a level playing field throughout this municipality from a broadband connectivity point of view. And also to say that the staff who worked diligently, persistently, even during a pandemic, when we could have shelved it because there was other priorities or other things going on. But the irony is that without broadband, our residents continue to struggle to homeschool their children, to run businesses, or participate in online workplace situations. It really put a number of our residents in precarious situations for a number of reasons. So I'm extremely disappointed in the federal government's offloading of funding to the province. I'm more so disappointed in the province's choice to go forward with the situation that we have now in the reverse auction, because I believe personally that it will continue to lead to connectivity in the pockets of areas where people are, rather than the level playing field and the plan that we had to go forward. So that's all I will say. And I will call the question. All those in favor of the motion at hand, please signify. All those opposed, and the motion is carried. With your indulgence, Council, I'd like to read the letter that we will be sending on behalf of the municipality to the minister and the individuals that are listed in the resolution that I just read. Dear Minister Surma, I'm writing on behalf of the Township of Leeds and the Thousand Islands. Your recent changes to funding for broadband projects seems more limited than necessary, and in our opinion, not providing the best internet connectivity that our township residents deserve and require. When we embarked on our path in March 2019 to provide a close to 100% fiber optic cable connectivity to one of the most difficult and large land bases in Eastern Ontario, we knew it would not be easy. However, we were determined to not leave any household behind, despite the granite and the forests that provide difficult to forge through. After spending our own taxpayer dollars to devise an engineered plan and subsequently seek out a business partner to install, service a state-of-the-art fiber optic network, we were about to award a tender to a business who would have done this, and without delay. Having said this, the project was predicated on securing support from both the federal and provincial governments through UBF and ICON. Since the federal government's about face on the funding guideline and giving the provinces total governance on how to roll out the funding, it is now the Ontario government who stands in the way of our local municipality who was forging ahead with their own broadband infrastructure after waiting many years of having little to no service. We were relying on private corporations to make the effort to expand and invest their networks. This has not happened. It has affected our ability to grow and flourish. Now, since the COVID-19 pandemic, our taxpayers are in difficult positions. Many have not been able to work from home or school their children online as they have no connectivity. This has affected individual and family mental health, family dynamics, and in some cases, people's ability to be employed. We had a solution, a fiber optic connection to almost 100% of the homes in the Township of Leeds and the Thousand Islands. The province has suggested that they too have a solution that would ensure 85% wired connections and 15% satellite with 50/10 download speeds. This would be accomplished through quote unquote a reverse auction where pre-qualified companies would pre-qualified companies, and they would, like companies have done previously, head for the higher density populated areas to install the cable, and the rural, more spread out population to get the subpar satellite coverage. I ask, have you ever worked on this type of a network on a cloudy or stormy day? It's not reliable. There has been little to no information about this program as the date of this letter. This is not acceptable to us. With all due respect, we, the Council of the Township of Leeds and the Thousand Islands, do not believe that this is the best solution for our taxpayers. Your solution will be less reliable for our rural residents and likely will cost the same amount of money as our solution, which was more equitable and fair solution for our taxpayers. We ask that you reconsider smaller projects such as ours outside the reverse auction so that we may prove that our process and solution will be in the best interest of all people, families, and businesses that so desperately require strong, reliable connectivity. Sincerely, Mayor Karina Smith-Gadke on behalf of the Township of Leeds and the Thousand Islands. So I felt it important to read the letter because I want the residents of this township to understand that we were at the finish line. We could have, with support from the feds and the provincial government, put this across the line and had shovels in the ground within a reasonable time frame and execution to see it done. I'm disappointed, and I don't want to speak on behalf of my fellow councillors, but I'm pretty confident that they are in a similar situation. I have expressed my disappointment with our member, Minister Clark, and he has passed that along to the infrastructure minister, but our letter will be going out to advise them, the premier and the cabinet ministers as well. So if people have specific questions about this, the timelines, the process, or it's unclear to them, I believe all of us sitting around this table can answer those questions. Please reach out. We're happy to give you the nitty gritty nuts and bolts if need be. So that's that one. Next motion that's on the floor is moved by Deputy Mayor Lackey and seconded by Councillor Olkey that 3 readings and final passage be granted to bylaw number 21-041, number 21-042, and that 3 readings and final passage be granted to bylaw number 21-043, being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of the Corporation of the Township of Leeds and the Thousand Islands at its special meeting held on August 24th, 2021. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor, please signify. All those opposed, and the motion is carried. Thank you, gentlemen. Excuse me. Last but not least, non-debatable motion moved by Deputy Mayor Lackey, seconded by Councillor Olkey, that council adjourn. All those in favor? All those opposed? Lord help you. Have a good evening. It's carried.